what are my top 2 books for the month of June? So welcome guys to my channel Mystic Reads. Now for June was actually surprising. I actually read 31 books, although majority of them were graphic novels or comics, but it's a really impressive feat for me for this year. This is the most books I've read in a month. So let's dive right into it. So if you've been on my page, you'll see that I've started the Shades of Magic books, and I actually finished them this month, the remaining books. So generally, it was an okay book. Okay, not just okay, it was a nice book, a good book. It's actually my first introduction into this shade of magic, into the world. I've never read the novels, and overall you need to read everything to grasp the story. At the end, the way it ended is like a cliffhanger, and I need to know if Victoria is going to complete this book. But overall, it was a really impactful one. There was a fantastic world building, and even in just a few pages, they were able to you're able to understand the principle behind the world, the powers, the magic, without it being like an information, bomb or overload. So it was a very good one. I think overall I would rate it 4 stars. So the next book I read was Swamp Thing Twin Branches by Maggie Stiefvater. So I really love this one. It's about 2 twins, being polar opposite of each other, and they had to move into a new environment, a new community, and things, unfold. One of them is researching on plants, researching on how plants live, if they're able to transfer their memories, and he meets someone, and as the story progresses, things happen, and the twins at first they are going apart, like there are different personalities, there are different interests, makes it as if they are going apart, but at the end the bond triumphs, or that is all I would say. Arsenic and Adobo. It's part of the series, a Tita Rosie Kitchen Mystery series. And I read this one for part of my Cozy Mystery Challenge. I will post a different video on the challenges I'm actually on for this year. So this is, just as it says, is a cozy mystery series. There's a lot of cooking. It's mostly on the Filipino side. So I enjoyed entering into the world. I enjoyed, getting the names of different foods and checking them out later, and even the recipe. So it follows this lady she's coming back into her town after leaving, and she feels, all this small town kind of this, and she feels stuffed there. She feels like, there's more to explore out in the world, and suddenly there's a death in her tita's kitchen. So you see her and her community, her friends, work overtime to try to save the Tita Rosie kitchen from being closed permanently, save her grandma from being taken by the police for this death. So you get to watch them as they solve mystery. You also get to watch different friendships rebloom, different, friendships die off, and the rest. And trust me, at the end is a very big, there's a twist at the end that you wouldn't see coming. So I gave that a 4.5. Now the next book I read was Arusha and the End of Time by Joe Caramanga. Now I read the comic, not the novel. I really enjoyed this story. And I don't know, I feel like I should read more. I don't want to speak so much about it because I feel like I should read more. It's follow the story of Arusha. So in this particular book, she finds out that she's among this set of children that are supposed to save the world, in quotes, and she's also in a race against time. Everyone is slowly, like time is stopping around the world, and she has to do something, get something before the end of time reaches. So I give it a 3.75. Now, this next book is an interesting one. It's one of the shortest, like, I know I've read shorter books, but they are mostly picture books or, things for children, focused on children. But this is the shortest that I can remember, that is, like, when you read it, you don't feel like it's a short story. You feel like it's an embodiment of a full story. And like, I was mind blown, and I had to, when a book has you going back to, search what is the story behind it, what is it based on. That is what this book had me doing. Galatea by Madeline Miller. So it's a very short one. Like, at the end, I wanted to, know more. I feel like, on one hand, I was feeling like this could have been turned into a longer story, maybe not 300, 400 pages long, but man, I wouldn't mind 100 pages or so long. But on the other hand, I looked at it and, for someone to be able to evoke this sort of emotion in just 56 pages, it needs to tell you how good it is. So it's based on the Greek story of Galatea. This man, he made a stone creature, and this book is way different from the stories, because it's more like the feminists. I don't want to use the word feminist, but you can think of it like that, like the feminist point of view. So I won't lie, there are some points like I didn't understand because of how short it is, and because I didn't know the background of the story. So I feel like now that I've done enough research, if I read it again, I will appreciate it more. So the next books I read were the Sleepless series by Sarah Vaughan. Now, I must say that I read the comics, and there are 11 of them, if I'm right. Yeah, there are 11 books in the series. Now, first of all, I loved the art style. It's one that is not so common, but like, I loved the art style. It was different from the other comics I've read, and I love the story. What do you think about nights that don't need to sleep, can't sleep? And the art style is so interesting, because I felt even if they can't sleep, like, they don't need to sleep, rather, they would more like portray them as this strong. But if you look at the art, you see this very dark, dark circles to show that, yes, these people have not slept in a long time. And I found that an interesting choice of, like, an interesting way to portray that. I also love the storyline, following this lady who has an uncle rising to the throne, and she's just trying to be safe in the palace where dangers are about left, right, center. She has to, survive the court, because a lot of people feel she should have, since it was her father that was the previous king, people felt she should have been the next in line. But her mom, she also wants to leave. She's not interested in the throne. She also wants to leave to go to her mom, but it's not safe. So there's like, at every turn there are different dangers, and then she has this Sleepless that was bonded with her when he took his vow. So he's the one protecting her, and then it's like 11 books is a lot. There's a lot that happens. So I really love this series. I will rate it entirely a 4.5, the entire series. So now this next book, I feel like I should do a different video to really talk about this book. It's Sugar by Bernice McFadden. This book evoked a lot of emotions. It's a deep one. It can be triggering for some people. There are mentions of rape and, like, in really graphic this thing. There are subtexts of racism, Just this book was a lot. There are two main characters, two main female characters, Sugar and Pearl. So it follows their story. It's majorly Sugar's story, but like you get flashbacks, you get the present, different timelines of the two of them at the same time. So it basically shows a friendship blossoming between the two of them. Sugar moves into a new town for a fresh start, and Pearl is her next door neighbor. Pearl has lost her daughter, some years back, and Sugar is like the spitting image of her daughter. So because of that, she's drawn closer to Sugar, sorry. And now this community is more like is a conservative community, and Sugar is like a wild card. She is a commercial sex worker. She brings different men for money into the house, and Pearl is your typical church girl. So you see her friendship and you see her blossom. There's a lot of character growth in the two of them. The both of them influence each other, and you will feel, in fact, you will feel like at the end there should be a happy ending, right? It even ends worse than it starts. Like I was brought to tears by this book. Like there is no word I can use to describe the feelings. So you should definitely check it out. This was a 5-star read. Now the next book I read is a comic, In Love and Pajamas. This one was like a feel good type of comic. So Katana Chetwynd, she illustrates different stages, different things that happen when two people are in love. So there's really, especially if you're in a relationship, or if you're in a relationship, or if you can relate to this, you will really find it lovingly. Like as you're turning each page, you just remember the period when you and your guy were doing this, you and your guy were like this, and you just feel good. Now the next book I read was Dreamer by Multimind. Now let me tell you, when I saw this as part of a challenge, so when I looked at it, the cover drew me in first. And it's a short book, it's horror, 101 pages, and next thing was the author, Multimind. These days that name looks like something that you will find on an online app, maybe web novel, Wattpad, or the rest. But I really love this book, like the name, the girl dreams, but the twist is that whatever she dreams, it happens, like it affects her in real life. So if she gets injured in her dream, she's injured in real life. If she gets wet in her dream, she's wet in real life. So then she tries to hide it from the world, unless, if not, she'll be considered a freak. But suddenly she watches a horror movie, and that changes everything, and there's a hunter after her. So this book, you need to read it to see how exactly does she conquer this dream. Now the next book I read was The Marriage Class. Now I'm going to have another in-depth review of this book. Okay, for Multimind, it's another 5-star read. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So for The Marriage Class by Adesua Nwokedi, 4.25 stars on Storygraph. So I have a different, review video coming up, so watch out for that. Okay, so the next book I read, Ruthless People, is a series with 5 books in the series. So this one, it was being raved about in the book club. Like someone dropped it, and then everyone started talking about it, and I said, okay, let me see what all the fuss is about. And currently I'm in book 4 or 5, and it has been a good one for if you're someone that loves the mafia, the Italians, the Irish, the Batva, then this is something for you. And unlike the other ones, I know for me, I stopped reading that because it was too cliche. So this one has a very strong female main character, and it's someone that, takes what she wants when she wants it. So the next book I read was Shameless, and this one was a book club read by Rosanne Bittner. Now, if there's one thing you ask me about this book, if there's one thing, like anytime you ask me, what do you remember from this book, is camels. And it's a funny one because it's weird. Like, I've never heard of camels or read of camels in a book, except it's maybe something, situated in the desert or something like that. But this one is a cowboy romance, and it follows a brother and sister. It starts with a brother and a sister. They lost their parents quite young, and it talks about the war between the Americans, and a lot of that. So they meet this soldier, and the soldier falls in love with the lady, but the brother and the sister, the brother is already in love with the wild world, stealing horses from other people, you know, in he uses that he's stealing from the whites as an excuse, but truly he just loves the life. And you follow their journey, and how I wouldn't want this to spoil the book, but it was a very good one, and there are some comedic aspects to it. So I rate this one a star, 4 stars. So those are all the books I've read this month. 31 books in total. So till next month. Bye.